Do you think Trey Lance's 2022 stat line will be better or worse than Jimmy G's 2021 stat line? Because that's pretty much how he's going to be graded, first off.
In some ways, yes. I mean, you want to go through it?
Yeah, let's go through it.
Okay, so games played, we'll just assume that that's going to be the same for the sake of this. Jimmy played 15 games, which is one of his best years as far as games played. He usually doesn't get 15 games in, but I think for there's concern with Trey Lance being such a runner in the offensive line that maybe he won't get 15 games, but let's assume that he does for this little game we're playing here today. So I think in completions and attempts, Jimmy Garoppolo had 301 completions last year out of 441 attempts with a 68% completion percentage. What do you think Trey Lance will do in comparison to that?
I think he's going to throw fewer passes, complete fewer passes, have a lower completion percentage. 68.3, he's going to be throwing further downfield. So I think he's going to have a lower completion percentage.
I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
So then you go to yards, average yards per attempt, and then yards per game. Yards is 3,800. Average was 8.6 yards per attempt, and then 254 yards per game.
Just a second, real quick. I'm pulling up his numbers from preseason. I want to check something real quick. Where you at? Okay, boom. Yes. Okay. So in preseason, Trey Lance, it's really funny. Do you know what his completion percentage was in preseason?
No.
68.8.
Wow.
68.8 in preseason. And everyone says he was terrible, right? It was really bad in the preseason. 68.8. So again, a lot of this is Kyle. It's the offense. Jimmy is he's so accurate. Nah, man, those are Kyle's numbers. So, yeah. Okay. I said he's going to have less than 68% completion. He could have more. He had 68.8 in the preseason. Okay. So yards per attempt. What was Jimmy?
Yards per attempt was 8.6.
8.6. Do you know what Trey's yards per attempt were in the preseason?
I remember last year was like 8.5, but I don't know about preseason.
This year in the preseason, 8.8.
Wow.
So, I think it's going to be above that. And again, with Jimmy last year, a lot of that was just Deebo Samuel running for a lot of yards after he caught the ball. I think if he's in shape, he could do that for Trey Lance too.
I think, yeah. So far, I think Trey Lance is going to, have less completions, less attempts. I said lower completion percentage, but now I'm questioning that. But the average, I think for sure is going to be, if I had to bet, is going to be better than Jimmy's because you can still do the dump offs to Deebo. That average comes from Deebo, mostly for Jimmy Garoppolo. And
real quick, last year in the regular season, Trey Lance's yards per attempt was 8.5. Jimmy's was 8.6. So it was right there. And now it went up. It's just 16 throws from the preseason, but he's already shown that he's right around there. So I think it's fair to say over. It's not outrageous.
Well, it's going to be over if he can just do the little dump offs like Jimmy does, but now he's got the deep shot to Danny Gray and Ayuk. So to me, that one's going to be over. He's going to have a better yards per attempt than Jimmy.
And I'm guessing they take at least one deep shot to Danny Gray per game. Why would you not? One. Yeah.
There'll be at least one or two deep shots per game in general.
Hey, better to take the deep shot to Danny Gray than to Deebo right now. Because frankly, I don't think that's the best way to use Deebo. Right? That's never been the way they've used Deebo up the sideline.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Next one is long. And now I think that was a Deebo. It was like a 7-yard pass to Deebo, and he took it. It was 83 yards. Is that right?
That's right. It was a screen. That pass was behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. So 83 was the long.
Depends on Deebo, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on Deebo. That's a tough one for anybody. Yeah. I mean, who knows?
No, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Trey Lance take some deep shots from inside his own 20. And if he hits on one to Danny Gray, it could be a touchdown. I mean, didn't Jalen Hurts have some throws like that last year? I mean, definitely happened.
Yeah.
So it could happen.
Yeah, it could definitely happen. I think so. I will bet that the air yards on Trey Lance's deepest bomb will be better than Jimmy Garoppolo's, and I think he'll have more long shots. But I think the next one's probably the most important.
I think Jimmy completed one pass that went more than 30 yards in the air last season. One, and it was to Deebo in Chicago. So yeah, I would have to agree with you on that one, man. Yeah.
He's gonna do that every game. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. The next one I think is probably the most important statistic for me for quarterbacks is the touchdown versus interception ratio. Right. And last year, Jimmy had 20 touchdown passes and 12 interceptions.
That's not, to me, that shows you're not a starting quarterback in the NFL. Mm-hmm. You got to be 2-1 to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and he's never been.
Mm-hmm.
He's not for his career. He's a backup. Okay, go.
And the great quarterbacks have a lot of 3-1 games. And I looked up, I think I found 4 or 5 in Jimmy Garoppolo's entire career where he had at least 3 touchdowns and only 1 interception.
This is why I felt that run he had in 2017 where he won 5 games. It didn't matter at the end of a season. That was over. It wasn't leading to a Hall of Fame career because he threw 7 touchdowns and 5 picks in that stretch. That's not sustainable. They were winning close games with field goals against teams starting players like Sean Mannion and Mitchell Trubisky. So, yeah, he's always been this guy. And people talk about Carson Wentz not being that. Like, his TD ratio is actually good, and people question him. So where's Jimmy at in all this thing? So anyway, people question Carson Wentz's decision-making. He never throws picks. He fumbles. But he doesn't throw a lot of picks. Sorry.
If I had to guess where Trey, if I made a prediction, I think he's going to be like 26 and 13. 26 touchdown passes, 13 interceptions. So he'll have 1 more interception, but he'll also have way more touchdowns, and his ratio will be better than Jimmy Garoppolo's.
I'm not sure he's going to throw 13 picks this year. I feel like he threw a lot of picks in camp, so people are expecting it, but I don't think Kyle's going to put him in that situation. I think they're going to run the ball so much that they're going to limit interceptions that way. So I wouldn't be surprised if he had single-digit interceptions, even though he misses high and threw a bunch of picks. I think Kyle's just going to run a lot, and so I wonder how many touchdowns he'll throw. I think he'll run for a lot. I think the wildcat, the quarterback-driven stuff will be big in the red zone. But I don't know how much he's going to throw for. It might be less than 20. It might be 18.
Well, I know that Trey Lance, you look at him in college, he doesn't turn the ball over.
Right.
But one thing, if you compare him to Jimmy, he's willing to take shots.
True.
And that reason alone, this is the NFL. It's not, he's not at North Dakota State anymore. I think the fact that he's willing to take shots and he's willing to give his receivers an opportunity to make a play, it's going to pay off and increase his touchdowns over Jimmy's, but it's also there's going to be times where he's picked off because he's willing to gamble a little bit more. So that's why.
Let's say he throws 400 passes this year, and his interception percentage is 2.5. Let's do the math.
2.5. What's that? 10. 10.
Is that 10?
Yep.
Okay. I think 10. 10. See, I'll take him below 12. I'm taking him below 12.
Under 12. Okay. I'm going to guess 13 is my guess, but we'll see. I mean, you look at Peyton Manning because this is essentially Trey Lance's rookie year, and Peyton Manning had, I think, more interceptions than touchdowns his first year.
Right. Yeah.
I think his first year, the fact that he is willing to take shots every now and then, I think I could see it, but I also think there's going to be way more touchdown passes too. So. It's still going to be a better. And either way, I think he's going to have a better touchdown to interception ratio than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay, next one is sack and QB rating. Sacks, Jimmy had 29 and a 98.7 QB rating. I personally think that Trey Lance is going to be able to avoid a lot more sacks. I know
he's also getting a lot more pressure, though.
He's going to get more pressure. He does hold the ball a little longer, but he's mobile in the pocket. He's not a statue. So I'm not sure. Do you think he's going to have more or less?
Well, his sack percentage was lower than Jimmy's last year. He proved last year that he's better at avoiding pressure than Jimmy. But I just wonder, and they're not going to throw as much as last year. So that would both indicate less. But this is not the same offensive line. They essentially traded Laken Tomlinson for Javarius Ward, which is a good trade, but they don't have an upgrade for Laken Tomlinson, and they don't have an upgrade for Alex Mack. So, 2 years ago, this team led the league in quarterback hits. And that wasn't Nick Mullins being, indecisive. That was terrible offensive line play. So, I hope it's less, but part of me feels like it's going to be more. Like, this guy's going to be under siege. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know what to expect from Aaron Banks. We haven't seen him start any games. 0. And Brendel and Burford. I mean, damn.
I think one thing that leads me to think it's going to be less is because Trey Lance, I don't see Kyle Shanahan calling a lot of pocket passes for Trey Lance initially as much as he did for Jimmy. I think a lot of Trey Lance's passes are going to come outside the pocket, and so that will help with reducing. And also, he's just mobile; like he's going to run a lot more than Jimmy. He's even better in the pocket. So that's one thing that I don't think is talked about enough is in the pocket, he has way more pocket awareness. He's more escapability than Jimmy Garoppolo has. So
I actually think he's a lot more calm in the pocket too. Jimmy kind of starts doing pirouettes.
yeah.
He'll start spinning circles. Trey's
Yeah.
very calm. He keeps his eyes upfield. He steps up in the pocket. He seems very confident. Not like, oh my God, I'm going to get hit. Like, no, I'm not going to get hit. I'm going to avoid this. I'm going to make a play. That's just so far. He's young in his career. Could get sometimes quarterback lose that, but so far he hasn't.
Well, Jimmy was actually not as bad in the beginning as
Right.
after he got injured. He looked like a different quarterback in that pocket.
That's when the pirouette started.
Yeah.
All right. Are we going quarterback rating?
Yeah, quarterback rating 98.7. What do you think? Better or worse?
See, again, a lot of people are going to say lower, but that's Kyle. That's the offense. And again, everyone said Trey was not good in preseason, right? Just didn't have a good preseason, a little shaky. You know what his quarterback rating was in preseason? 116.
Yeah.
116. So, I mean, Kyle Shanahan, these weapons, yeah, he's going to get sacked, but he's not going to throw that much. He's going to hit big plays. I think the efficiency is going to be I think it's going to be higher than 98. I think it's going to be like 100 something.
Yeah, I think most of it has to do with, your –
not because he's great, but just because Kyle is going to manage him and not ask him to do too much, and he can do certain things really well. Sorry for cutting you off.
Oh, no, that's fine. No, I think his touchdown interception ratio is going to be better, and I think that's a big part of the QB rating. So I think that is going to put him up. And even last year in the games he played, he had a great quarterback rating. So I think it's going to be higher. Now,
what was his TD to INT ratio last year? Let's check it out. Oh, it was 5-2. 5-2. Okay.
Yeah.
That's already better than Jimmy.
Was that 2.5 to 1? Right.
Yeah. Now they did insert him at the end of some drives sometimes, but still.
Yeah.
Still. Yep.
Yeah. It'll be 2-1, which is better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Now here's the big difference. What Jimmy's going to bring to the 49ers, let's put them all together. These last 5 stats: rushing attempts, Garoppolo 38, rushing yards 51, rushing average 1.3 yards per carry, rushing long 7, rushing touchdowns 3. Trey Lance is going to be better in every way at every one of these stats. It's not even going to be close.
Lance is going to get more than 100 carries this year. He's probably going to average close to 6 yards a carry, if not more. He's probably going to get 10 rushing touchdowns. He could lead the team in rushing this year. He could have 800-900 rushing yards this year. If the Niners have a running back committee, he could be the constant. I'm just saying.
If everything we're saying is right about all of these stats, then that's a superior quarterback. Trey Lance is a superior quarterback over Jimmy Garoppolo. And
it doesn't mean that he's worth $500 million, that he's the next Steve Young, but it just means he's better than Jimmy. And people keep talking about this is like Joe and Steve. It's not Joe and Steve.
No,
it's not. And so that's why you don't have to go back to Jimmy Garoppolo immediately if Trey Lance struggles a little bit at first, because you're not turning back to Joe. It's not like if you go to Jimmy, you're like, okay, now we'll win the Super Bowl. We got Jimmy. Like, no, you tried multiple times. The worst fourth quarter playoff quarterback ever. So you got to kind of give Trey a chance, because this guy had a lot of chances and he was never a Pro Bowler, never a good playoff quarterback. He's not a savior. What he is a good backup quarterback who can get you through a few games. He's not the guy you turn to save your season.
I mean, if he was, you wouldn't have traded 3 first-round draft picks to draft Trey Lance in the first place. So I think
and some team would have traded for him by now.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Shanahan is not a dumb guy, man. Like, the fact that Trey Lance is on the team, the fact they traded to get him because they didn't believe that Jimmy was the answer. They're not going to go backwards and crush Trey Lance's ego and put Jimmy Garoppolo in the guy they wanted to trade. They're not going to do that unless they absolutely have to.
Because I think people who have been Niner fans, maybe older, they remember the Joe Montana Steve thing. It was like, yeah, Steve, like, you're great. You know, you clearly have a lot of talent, and one day you might be better than – but if you're not ready to win a Super Bowl right freaking now, Steve, we got to go back to Joe because he's the greatest quarterback of all time. And Steve was like, okay, well, I'm all pro. I'm 14-2. I'm the best quarterback in the league. Is that good enough? And they're like, I don't know. You lost to Dallas. But ultimately, that's what he had to – and that's the kind of pressure he was under. Trey is not under that kind of pressure. He doesn't have Joe Montana breathing down his neck. It's Jimmy.
Yeah.
It's Jimmy.
There's going to be a segment of the fan base calling for Jimmy all the time, super early. But Kyle Shanahan he's committed to Trey Lance. Sure, I reported that, there's people hesitant inside the locker room about Trey Lance, but it doesn't mean that they're not ready to take it on. It's just, it's so unknown with Trey Lance. It's still unknown, right? There's reasons to be excited, to believe in him. There's really not any reasons not to believe in him. It's just that what you can do with Jimmy, and Trey Lance is unknown. So there'll be a segment of the fan base that calls for Jimmy early, but I don't think Kyle is on that same page.
It's just like, were there Chiefs fans that were really saying like, you can't get rid of Alex Smith? No, we win with him. Or like, were there Rams fans that were really upset about Jared Goff? Like, what? I don't.
That comparison with Patrick Mahomes and Alex Smith is a much better comparison than Steve Young and Joe Montana.
Right.
You have a game manager, a decent, good game manager, and then a new exciting talent coming up. That's a better comparison.
Yeah. If you have a starting quarterback who is a little over the hill but has won a Super Bowl, I understand feeling a little bit of hesitancy moving off of him for an unknown. And those are the situations we're talking about. Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, Joe Montana, Steve Young. Jimmy doesn't qualify. No. Jimmy's here not because he's getting over the hill, but because he wasn't good enough. You know what I mean? Like, he should have been replaced last year.